Welcome. So I thought I'd do a little video about literature-based research, and just to give you a bit of a heads up about how it's different to action research. Literature-based research is essentially where you are doing research through the literature, i.e. it's purely conducted through the process of reading academic books and journals. You don't do any surveys, any questionnaires or focus groups or observations. So essentially it's a long literature review, but it still has a methodology, still has a discussion, still has an analysis and conclusion, exactly like a dissertation. There are some advantages. You don't have to spend time arranging meetings, doing transcripts, visiting people, and if you're less confident, you don't actually have to organise focus groups or meetings. There are some disadvantages. It's quite time consuming, I find, because you are sometimes missing out on that kind of nice part of research of being going out to interview people, talk to people, and in some respects it's possibly hard if you're somebody who doesn't feel comfortable working with the literature and being able to find suitable literature. There's a common misconception, I think, that people think a literature-based dissertation or research project of any kind is easier to do. It isn't. You need to spend just as much time as you would on an action research project. So don't feel that doing a literature-based project of any kind is an easy option, because it really isn't. You still need to spend all the time doing what you can on it. Now there are some kind of structures I can give you, some kind of hints and tips about doing a literature-based one, and that's something that I would like to share with you. So I think you should, if you are going to go down the route of doing a literature-based one, then definitely think if you're comfortable first with engaging with literature and being able to find suitable sources of literature. If you feel that you're not, then I would probably advise don't do a literature-based piece of research. It does require you to be able to find good sources of information and to critique and interrogate information. And if you don't feel that you are going to be comfortable about doing that, then perhaps, don't do that. So, in terms of doing a literature-based dissertation then, or in terms of doing a literature-based research project for the Approaches to Research module, there are certain things that you need to think about. And I would say that some of these include the following. Firstly, really do think that this is not just a review of literature. It's a focused discussion with purpose. It needs to be critical and analytical. There is some information about critical writing from the university skills team, and I would encourage you to engage with that. Now, we do expect referencing always to be good and accurate, but in a literature-based dissertation or a literature-based research project, your referencing has to be absolutely 100% spot on, because you are only providing evidence from the literature. So it's essential that your referencing is really good, really accurate and really spot on. And that may be an issue for some people. In terms of structure, you still need an introduction, you still need a rationale, you still need clear research questions that you answer. You still need one main research question, and you need 2 or 3 sub-questions that you will answer through the process of a literature-based piece of research. That's really important. When you are engaging in a literature-based piece of research or research project, then you need to use a wide range of literature. So you'll be using a wider range of literature than you would be for an action-based piece of research, because you don't have that action-based research element to it. So do think very carefully about the amount and volume of material that you will need to engage with. In terms of your methodology will need to mention how and where you found your literature from, what kind of search terms you entered into either a database or into Google Scholar to find some of the literature. So there needs to be a methodological approach that covers how you sort, how you found, and how you whittle down essentially the literature that you used for your research. Your discussion and findings will be a discussion based purely on the literature and your interpretation of the literature, and it needs to be clearly linked to your research questions. So a literature-based piece of research has to be very tightly focused, I think, and has to, depending on the topic, there may be an enormous amount of literature out there. So you have to make sure you're really nicely, tightly focused on literature that's very relevant to the discussion that you'll be having. You need to be critical and you need to critique the literature. You need to look at things from different perspectives and different points of view, and you need to arrive at a clear conclusion that's backed up with evidence based on your interpretation of the literature that you have found and referred to. So I hope this has been useful, this little video. Please do Google literature or desk-based research. You will find that most of the things available on YouTube though are more based on kind of master's dissertations or on people doing bigger research projects than you'll be engaging in. But there is material out there. You should certainly also, when you come to do your research project, liaise with either a supervisor or the person delivering the module for further information, advice and guidance.